Handling questions. How you answer questions in a meeting, a talk, or a presentation is an effective English skill. How you answer these questions will give credibility to the key points you wish to make in your presentation. An effective Q&A transforms your presentation from a lecture into a viable meeting. Q&As are usually done at the end of the presentation, but they don't have to be. Wherever you decide to place them, in this video we're going to give you tips to have an effective question and answer session. Okay, let's get started. Here are some tips on how to intelligently answer questions so you can approach your presentation with confidence and successfully engage your audience. Before you answer the question, make eye contact with the questioner. You want the questioner to see you are showing attention. Be sure that you understand the question they are asking or point that they are making. Ask for more information from the questioner if you need to. Acknowledge the question they are asking and how valuable it is. You can say something like, "That's a good question," or "I'm glad you asked that," or "I'm happy you brought that up." Repeat the question for the whole audience so everyone hears it. This is particularly true in large presentations where the questioner may have asked their question without the help of a microphone. Always keep your cool, particularly if you get a hostile question, and we'll talk about that later. The good news is all these questions can be boiled down into 4 basic types of questions. Let's take a quick look at the 4 types of questions and how we can deal with them. Good questions. These are questions that are directly related to your presentation. They help get your message across to the audience better. First, thank people for asking them, and then briefly answer the question. Difficult questions. These are questions you cannot or prefer not to answer. You can say you don't know, but then offer to find out and get back to the questioner, or throw the ball back to the questioner or the audience by asking the questioner what they think. The third type of questions are unnecessary questions. Here you've already given this information. Point this out, answer briefly again, and move on. Lastly are irrelevant questions. These are questions that have nothing to do with your topic, and therefore you don't have to answer them. Try not to sound rude, but move on. You can also suggest that you'll talk to the questioner after the presentation to deal with his concerns. Let's talk about advanced strategies for handling questions. We've already given you some of the basic ones. Now let's go over some more advanced ones to give you a more professional feel to your talk, meeting, or presentation. Number 1, check understanding by paraphrasing. By summarizing the question in your own words, you'll make sure you know exactly what is being asked. Importantly, you can also translate a difficult question to a larger audience. For a question that some people in your audience might not understand, you can put the question in simpler terms, making it easier for everyone to comprehend. 2, increase audience engagement. Let them know at the beginning of your presentation there will be a Q&A session and to write down questions as they think about them. 3, answer your own questions. If no one asks a question, try starting the Q&A session by saying something like, "Many people have asked me," and then answer your own question. 4, reinforce key messages. It can be very effective to end your answer with a relevant key point from your presentation. Something like, "And that's why we need to," and then state a viewpoint from your presentation. 5, prepare beforehand. One of the best ways to deal with questions is to anticipate what questions your audience will ask and prepare your answers in advance. Okay, let's put this all together. Fortunately, we have a very effective technique to do this. It's called the lever technique, where each of the letters stand for an action that you can take. L stands for listen, E stands for echo, V stands for value, E stands for empathize, and finally, R stands for response. Let's look at each of these individually. The lever technique. Stage 1 is listen. When someone asks you a question, say nothing. Let them ask their question without any interruption. Make good eye contact and avoid any negative signals such as covering your mouth or folding your arms. Stage 2 is echo. Start your answer by first acknowledging the question by echoing what you've been asked. By repeating the question using your own slightly different words, that's called paraphrasing, you can check that you have understood the question correctly. You can also put your question in simpler terms, making sure everyone in your audience has heard and understands the question. Here are some echo examples. Did you mean ... question. Are you saying? Paraphrase the question. If I understand you correctly, In stage 3 of the lever method, we're going to acknowledge and show the questioner that we value their question. This is a good technique if the questioner seems nervous. It's also good for dealing with aggressive questions because it stops you appearing defensive or argumentative. Here are some value examples. That's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for asking that. Stage 4 is empathize. If the questioner is worried or concerned about a point in your presentation, you can make them feel more comfortable by acknowledging their feelings. Here are some empathizing examples. I can understand why you might be worried about that, so let me explain further. I understand your concern. I know how you feel. Stage 5, the last stage, is to actually respond to the question itself. Try to keep the answers as short and as clear as possible. If the answer needs a long or complex explanation, check that everyone understood your answer. The lever technique again has 5 major aspects to it, 5 major components. Listen, echo, value, empathize, and respond. But for any one question, you probably just use one of the 3 aspects. For example, for one question you might listen, echo, respond. For another question you might listen, empathize, and respond. And for a different type of question you might listen, value, and respond. There's one thing I'd like to close with in this video, and that's the interactive Q&A. These are already here. This isn't the future. These are already here. Obviously, if you're doing an online presentation, this will be how you do your Q&A. But you can use this technology in a real auditorium or room as well. Let's go over some of the key ways to basically do this. A live Q&A can be done in 3 easy steps. Number 1, create your Q&A session. Let the participants join via a code or link on any device. Collect questions. People text their questions to the presenter and all participants. The audience can even upvote on which questions they want to answer and in what order. 3, share with your audience. Show the questions on the screens and manage them live. The presenter can also answer orally, adding additional information. Live Q&As are obviously the way to run questions for online presentations, but again, this technology can be adapted for traditional talks in a conference room. Thanks for watching this video. You can download the key points in a summary document on this site. Furthermore, if you practice these key points, I'm sure your presentations will be more professional, more effective, and you will engage your audience. And that's what it's all about. Thank you very much.